Welcome to What Off Season.
You already know what time it is. Welcome back into the What Off Season Sports Podcast, everybody. Coming on the show, the NFL really should be more cautious as the season is approaching, as they've already had to cancel their Hall of Fame game due to coronavirus. We're going to talk more about Dak Prescott and his contract today. The NBA starts back up in a month, of course, as everybody knows, but players are opting out. Now, teams must make adjustments or really replacements for their roster as the restart approaches. And I was totally convinced that Major League Baseball heard my last podcast, because right after I blasted them on the last episode, they got it together and baseball will premiere as the NBA resumes also. As always, you can catch us on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, everywhere podcasts are found. Right now, as you're listening, go to our Facebook, Instagram, or our Twitter and check the bio. That bad boy is called a link tree. If you click on it, you can see every single bit of what off-season content, every podcast platform and social media page is on there in the link. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not alone today, as I am super blessed to have the current Ole Miss Rebel offensive guard number 68, Chandler Tuitt, in the studio with me, guys. Four-star recruit out of Sandy Creek High School. Talk to me, brother. What's going on?
What's up, man? Glad to be on the show, man. Everything good? Everything well?
Yeah, man, I'm doing super good. How about you, though, man? How's life treating you with coronavirus and everything happening, brother?
Oh, man, it's stressful, man, out here in Mississippi trying to do all this training and follow the rules and guidelines with practice with my teammates and stuff.
Right,
It's a little difficult, but other than that, man, can't complain.
right. That's what's up, man. How do you feel like the bond between you and your teammates are going? Do you feel like y'all are getting closer because of corona, or y'all kind of pissing each other off being around too much?
Um, Dude, honestly, I feel like we're getting closer, especially with this new coaching staff we have. I feel like everything's coming together as a team, and feel like we're coming together, like, because like all we got right now is football. There's no distractions, no nothing going on. So football is all we can think about right now, and hopefully the season comes by and goes around.
Right. I feel that, man. And that's really good to hear you in that type of mentality, too, knowing that like you got football to focus on right now. And it's good that you can distribute that weight evenly on your shoulders. I wanted to run some questions by you actually before we got into the show today, brother, just kind of interview you a little bit. So how would you say life actually treated you after high school, going to a school like Ole Miss at the time in 2016?
Uh, it's a long story, but I give you a little short version. So each year I had, like freshman year, I came in Ole Miss. I just all I did really is party, and that at the end that really messed me up because like my coaches saw me as a party guy and see me as responsible, so I really didn't get the chance to play much as my redshirt year. Then like going into my redshirt freshman year, it was just me trying to catch up with everyone and show that I can prove myself. Then I got hurt about in the summer camp trying to work hard and messed up my wrist.
Mm.
After that, I was like, oh, is football really for me and stuff.
Ooh, wow, that takes a lot
Yeah,
for an athlete to admit that, bro.
yeah, bro, I admit it. Like, I had some problems, mental problems going into my junior year and everything. I was like, I don't really want to do this. Like, F this, F that. Like, I just wasn't getting along with anyone. I got in a fight with my teammates, like, here and there. Like, there's actually a video of me, like, fighting one of my teammates, which is pretty crazy. But, yeah, man. Other than that, but going to my senior year, this new coaching staff, they got me liking football, and I'm loving it. So hopefully we have a season to actually prove what I actually got and show everyone that I'm not just a joke. Like, I'm actually here to play and be someone.
Right. I feel that, man. You're there to put your nose to the grind and just really show everybody the true potential, that you have. So actually hearing you kind of dive back a little bit into how you had some of those obstacles and that adversity that you overcame, one, that's super fantastic, that you could admit that here on the show. And it's just awesome to actually hear someone open up like that. But would you say now that you're coming around, with the new coaching staff, are you, pushing for NFL hopes, if that's not a silly question?
Honestly, if it happens, it happens. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Like, just to say I went to an NFL is like a great thing to say to someone. Like, yeah, I used to play for like I used to play in the NFL or something. But like, if I do go to the NFL though, hopefully I get 4 years out of it. With my body being feeling old as that is now. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to say no to the NFL. Like, I'm going to go for it. Go for all of it, man.
Right. That's awesome. And yeah, and I know you like, personally, I know you're that type of guy, most definitely. I remember all the sports you would play in middle school and high school, dude, just to be able to put yourself out there. So I'm pushing for you though, man. I definitely feel like you could reach the ultimate heights, especially dude, with your size and your strength. I could definitely feel like you could push to that professional level. But segueing into actually this next question, so rather more of a question slash statement. So me personally, I know that people sleep on offensive linemen in everyday sports conversation. Not really, I guess, appreciating what they do in the sport. I kind of want a different perspective on this. What do you feel like is, I guess, the most ignorant thing that people say about offensive linemen when they're not really accounting for their actual abilities?
Just really is just like all offensive lineman mind. Like, we just think about like, it wasn't for us. Like, you wouldn't be able to get the ball. You wouldn't be able to score. You wouldn't be able to do some things you could do. Like, just, but when people come in offensive linemen, it's usually like, oh, they're fat, they're slow, all
Right.
that.
That's
But
not
I
true
know,
either.
no, I know a few offensive linemen, like, they played multiple sports. Like, they were wrestlers, they were quarterbacks in high school. Like, I got a guy that was a quarterback and offensive lineman, and he could throw the ball like it was nothing. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
But man, it's just the mind state of people when they think of stuff like that. I mean, it just depends like what you go through. Like, being an offensive lineman is probably like the hardest thing you could be. Like,
Right.
you're always getting hit. You're always getting hit in the head,
Right. Contact
concussions.
every play there's
Yeah,
contact.
like, it's probably like one of the hardest positions to play. You gotta wait for someone to come hit you. You gotta wait for that decent lineman to come through the line and hit you. Like, it's rough being an offensive lineman. So I can't. If you got problems with offensive lineman, then it's not. You got problems. This is all that.
Right. Yeah. It's won and lost in the trenches, dude. I 100% feel you on that. I wanted you to give me a time when you knew that, like, your specific decision, maybe it was a missed block or an assignment, whatever the case may be, where you really felt like it swung the momentum or the tide of the game, or maybe just even on that drive that you were in, when you really felt like that you knew the play you were involved in, made or broke that momentum in that moment.
Oh, honestly, you'd be surprised, but I think it was probably like my redshirt freshman year. It was just, we're winning. We're being some team, literally like 60 to almost zero. But like, we're winning though. Like, it didn't matter. But like, just to see like us freshmen get out there and play, and watching like guys that came with make plays on TV, like, I don't know. That's the best thing I can say for like momentum wise. Like, that's the best thing ever. Just seeing everyone happy at once. Because if you got like a strict game, like close to close games, it's stressful, man. It's really stressful. And like, just being through that, like us against Mississippi State, like close games like that, dude. Like, your heart's pumping, and it's hard.
Oh
It's
yeah.
hard to get through it.
Oh yeah, man. A lot of pressure on you guys, and that's why I wanted to get your perspective or a time that you really had, like I was just mentioning to you. But that's really awesome to hear, dude. I appreciate you sharing all that with me. And just one last thing before we actually dive into our topics today for the What Off Season Sports podcast. So one thing, or really how many ever you want, rather, that someone would never even guess or think about when it comes to an offensive lineman. Like, of course, everybody assumes you guys eat a lot or y'all work out a lot, but what's one quirky thing that you feel like nobody would know about an offensive lineman?
Um, dude,
No
honestly,
pressure.
I don't know. It's different. Like, I was having a conversation with one of my teammates the other day. I was like, if you're an offensive lineman and you don't know how to cook, you're not an offensive lineman. If you don't know how to cook, you can't be an offensive lineman and you don't know how to cook. This is
Okay.
point blank, like, ever there. But
Okay.
most offensive linemen, dude, at the heart, I feel like they feel like they're something else. Like, some offensive linemen want to be quarterback, some offensive linemen want to be on defensive line. You know,
Right.
it's it's here and there. Like offensive linemen wish they can have like that sunshine during a game, but we don't. So it's different for us. Like
Right, absolutely.
we don't get a knowledge like everyone else does. So
Right.
it's it's something. But most of us, bro, we're just like most offensive linemen, like black, white, Mexican, whatever. We still love country music. That's one thing I can say.
Okay.
All offensive linemen, I can say probably like country music from what I've been through.
Okay. I
So
got you.
that's a
Awesome.
little quirky something right there.
Hey man, that's perfect. That all that you just gave me, that's perfect content, dude. That's exactly what I was looking for. But thank you so much for actually answering some of those questions for me, Chandler. We're going to go ahead and get into the NFL segment of today's episode. So, obviously, Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott signing the franchise tender for the $31 million. Now, I've always spoke on this from the very beginning, and I'm going to say it again. The Cowboys are going to have to learn that Dak Prescott, in my opinion, hasn't proved himself to be a $31 million quarterback. I think it was even pulling teeth to pay him $30 million. But from a football standpoint, and I've always stood by this as well, and I'm sure when you tag in here with me, you'll be able to attest to that. But Dak has the leverage, being the quarterback for America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And I mean, they would be absolutely lost if Dak wanted to hold out or wanted to trade or, didn't play for some drastic reason. So he's got the leverage in that aspect. Tell me how you feel about, Dak's called for 40 million, 45 million. Where do you put Dak Prescott in the worthiness of the pay range?
Honestly, bro, that's a lot of money. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's crazy. And for him being where he is right now, like, does he deserve it? It's gonna be up to him coming the season. Like, is he gonna play for it? Is he gonna work for it? Like everything
Mm-hmm.
else. But like, I'm not the man to challenge how much someone gets paid because money is money at the end of the day. But if he's gonna work for it, he deserves it. If he's not, then take the contract. But yeah, he has a lot of leverage on him. He can pull some things right now, and it's crazy. Like
Oh yeah.
it's something. I'll tell you that it's something.
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely feel you on that. But if you even look, in the realm of $30 million quarterbacks heading in to 2020, so you've got Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, and Russell Wilson. That was going from the bottom up, Russell Wilson being the highest paid quarterback at 35 million a year. And then if you go just below Matt Ryan, you've got Ryan Tannehill and Jacoby Brissett, with rounding out the order of Jimmy G, Matt Stafford, and Derek Carr. So when you actually look at that list there, Dak Prescott falls smack in the middle of Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz, with Matt making 30 million, Wentz making 32, and like I said, Dak splitting the gap at 31. And I'm sure even you would agree with me here. Dak is for sure the better quarterback than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz can never stay healthy. He
Oh
had the
yeah, of
11
course.
2 rookie year, but I mean, he's been glass ever since, unfortunately. But I don't think he's better than Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is a tenured veteran, and I believe that Dak absolutely squashes Jimmy G, Matt Stafford, Derek Carr, Ryan Tannehill, and Jacoby Brissett. He's just simply better than all of those quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff also take a backseat to Dak Prescott as well. I wouldn't say by much, but I felt like Dak is smarter than those two quarterbacks, and that's just, from simply digging into the salary standpoint of Dak Prescott. But when you actually look at just when he's had to put the Cowboys on his back, he might, but it's always late in the game. And you want to take a look back at his rookie year, it almost makes you wonder if his rookie year was a fluke, as he's really struggled to get the Cowboys back to, one, the point where the fans wanted to be, but two, also Jerry Jones is literally out here foaming at the mouth for a Super Bowl appearance. And with just all that going into play, that really just I cannot see why. Me personally, I couldn't pay Dak the money, but I can see why the Cowboys are going to, because he's been a solid quarterback. I can say good, but I don't know if I can say great. Where would you put Dak in that terms of like scale of 1 to 10?
Uh, I give him about a 7.5. He's not great, but
Right.
he's good when he wants to be. But also that depends on what his situation is with his team. Like
Hmm.
you can't you can't win games without a team. Like it's just point blank. So like when he comes in at the end, it's a team thing. Like I get it, like he's a quarterback and all, but like if your teammates don't like your quarterback, you're not gonna win much games. The Super Bowl at that. But
Right.
nah, I wouldn't say he's a Matt Ryan though. No, no, he hasn't deserved that. He's not no Tom Brady or no one like that yet. But hey, it's up to him though. Like I totally agree with everything you just said. Honestly,
Right, man. I feel that. And you know, what were you just saying? I was talking about Matt Ryan. Dang, I don't think I can place my finger on it. But all right, we're going to actually be segueing into this next segment here, still with the NFL, though. So I was saying, as you know, in the intro, I feel like the NFL should definitely be more cautious with the coronavirus popping up. I want to get your perspective real quick, though, just from you being a football player, Chandler. Do you think this is even going to work with the whole mask going over the helmets? Like, do you realistically think anything can be prevented as football is such a contact heavy sport?
honestly, bro, the mask over the helmet is probably the dumbest thing ever because we're catching corona and we're not even doing contact right now. But
Hmm.
that's just my perspective. Uh,
Right.
but other than that, man, like NFL, they can do that. Like you can test players and like have minimum people in the stadium and have it on TV. Like that's
Right.
their money's on TV. But
Of
like
course.
when you come to college, like it's different. Like you have to have people in the stands to have a college game. Like
Hmm.
this is what it is. And like NFL otherwise, like they get paid no matter what they do. So NFL can do that. Test everyone, make sure everyone stays out of like other things, quarantine and whatever. Like NFL can do that. So we'll see how it goes. But the whole mask thing, bro, I think is stupid. And playing it, like,
It
let's
looks
say,
really funny, man. They look like a teddy bear. It looks really odd, dude. It's almost like a motorcycle helmet or something. It's really odd.
yeah, dude, and it's gonna suck because like offensive linemen, like me, defense linemen, like we don't like wearing stuff because it gets foggy. Like you
Hmm.
you can't see, so
Right.
it's gonna have a lot of problems. And so
Yeah.
honestly, bro, like my opinion, if NFL wants to do that, that's at their own risk. But if college wants to do that, like I
It's
say,
not going
rather,
to fly the same way.
yeah, I rather just wait for a vaccine. Which I hate to say that, like I really do, but like for my safety, like imagine go to a game, your parents there, and you hug them and you give it to them. Like that's what I'm scared of, you know?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's actually a great perspective to hear from somebody who's currently playing football. And like you were saying, y'all aren't even contacting each other. Y'all aren't even playing the sport and you're still possibly contracting it and then passing it on to your parents. I mean, that is a great, perspective to look at it from there. And I mean, that would absolutely floor somebody. And you've got like, Saint safety Malcolm Jenkins saying that football isn't even essential in this, time. And I can kind of agree with him because not only with Corona, but with all the social injustice that's happening as well. But, if you're even looking past the social injustice, you're jeopardizing possibly, people's well being. And then you've got even Ezekiel Elliott, he contracted the coronavirus. He was, he recovered from it, but now he's saying he's concerned with player safety also. You've got players like Tom Brady who are working out with groups despite the coronavirus tests popping up. And so here's the thing with everybody taking this risk, and this is going to put us into the next part. You can possibly have, multiple roster openings where that could become a problem if players become ill. And who's to say that a lot of players on one team wouldn't, catch the coronavirus? How's that going to happen if, the playoff seeding comes around? And what if that team can't participate because they don't have enough players to fill their roster spots? I don't feel like anybody's necessarily looked at that angle from it at if this starts becoming a domino effect in football, are we going to be able to recover from it mid-season? Everybody's just so focused right now on let's play football, let's get to more live sports. But do you want the same pandemic and possibility that the NBA and Major League Baseball were just going through? Or do you want to be able to play your 16 games, everybody be healthy, us see the Super Bowl, and everybody be happy at the end of the day? you know I guess I wanted to ask you, did you kind of feel that was a possibility? Were you kind of thinking in the back of your head, well, what if one team gets so heavily affected that it throws everything out of whack with playoff seeding or scheduling or roster spots?
yeah, like you. All right, this is how like football works in like our facility. Like offensive linemen hang out offensive linemen, defensive linemen hang out defensive linemen. Like you gotta think of it that way. If one offensive lineman gets it and they've been around all the offensive linemen, that's 2 weeks someone's missed a quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
So who are you gonna have block for you?
Right.
Wide, wide receivers or
All your
something?
long snappers or something, bro.
Like it's just it's I get it. Football. Everyone wants to watch football. Everyone loves football. But like you gotta think about it in the long term. Like what happens there's like 50 forfeit games in a matter of 2 weeks. Like what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Then but my thing is that's something we all have to think about. But NFL wise, NBA wise, MLB wise, I say put them all on the island, let them play out there. Everyone get tested before you go on the island, all that,
Mm-hmm.
quarantine, everything, do things like that. Have TV station out there, show it out there. But college wise, man, it's dangerous. That's a dangerous game to play with when it comes
Right.
to kids, because
Everybody's
this
younger too.
yeah, hang out with my teammates, dude. Like a couple of them were at some pool party, and like next thing you know, like five of my players got tested for corona. It's talking about they're in quarantine right now. Like
Mm.
it's rough, man. Like college life, being on campus and stuff. Like you can't act like NFL players. Like NFL players, football's their life. But when you come to college, you got classes, you got girls, you got football, you got jobs. Like it's different, man. And it's scary when you think about it. Like trying to go through everything and figure out how you're gonna do something with all this. But we'll see, man. Like,
Right. I feel that. And like I said, man, that's another great way to look at it. I'm super happy I brought you on the show, man, being the actual first athlete on the What Off Season Sports podcast. You're giving all these angles and just perspectives into everything. And it's even stuff that I know the listeners and me personally, the host myself, it's great to be able to wrap your head around it in that way and actually understand the stuff you have to go through. And the major difference between college and NFL, like everybody just thinks the money and the fame, but it's way deeper than all that. It's the personal relationships and everything that can domino effect, in y'all's world before you get to the NFL.
yeah. Even speaking of that, dude, like the Canadian League, they canceled their football for 2020 already, and then we just got a commit from one of them because he was like, I need to play football, so he's coming to Ole Miss. He's like a 6'8", 285 guy from Canada. Like he's
Jeez.
coming to play in the SEC. So I'm like, all right, bro, you got it.
Right. Whatever, what, like whatever
Yeah, bro.
position you would like, dude. What position do you
But yeah,
play? Football.
right, for real.
Literally.
The man's huge. I haven't seen him yet, but they said he's pretty good. So let's see, man.
Right, right. Segueing into the NBA part of the show now, before we get into our topics, I want to give all due respect to Vince Carter. He officially retired from the NBA, 43 years old, an absolute inspiration to everybody that watches sports or really just knew about him. Drafted by the Warriors as the fifth pick in the 1998 NBA draft, a record 22 seasons in the league. He played for the Raptors, the Nets, the Magic, the Suns, the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, the Kings, and he finished his career with the Hawks. I know so many teams, but if you remember, Vince Carter literally would play for a different team, it felt like, every year. He won the Rookie of the Year, of course. He was a 9-time All Star, won the dunk contest in the year of 2000, of course. The arm in the hoop vision will last forever. It will forever be remembered. Diving in now to how really the NBA is unfolding. The restart is coming at the end of July, exactly a month from today when this podcast was recorded. You got certain players holding out and are just not participating in the restart. Trevor Ariza from the Blazers. You've got Avery Bradley from the Lakers, Boogie Cousins, who is a free agent, Davis Bertrands, and Willie Cauley-Stein also. All five of these players holding out, not going to be playing at the end of July, some for health reasons, some for personal reasons. But either way, this is a monkey wrench for these few teams as now they have to scramble to find replacements, make adjustments to their rosters. And Chandler, I wanted to ask you specifically, if this were to happen in football, do you think it would be similar to how it would work out in the NBA?
Um, I mean, NBA, you probably have what, like 12 people on a roster,
I want to say like 15, maybe.
or 15,
Maybe,
15.
yeah, maybe. It could be 12 to 15. 12 seems like a decent number, though.
Yeah, then like in football, you have about like 120 people on a roster. So like
Hmm.
if people want to hold out in like NFL, SEC, college football, whatever, like you can hold, we'll find someone new. That's how it is. That's the honest truth. Like when it comes to that, you're replaceable when it comes to big boy leagues like that. But NBA, dude, it's different. Like you got 15 on a roster.
Hmm.
You're real. Either you're really good or you're not. And
Yeah,
it's not like you can find like another Steph Curry or like another LeBron James if they cancel out. Like it's different. Like you can't just leave the NBA. So I think NBA wise, it's a lot harder
right.
than it is when it comes to football.
Most definitely. It's a lot harder to find those replacements and actually get those star players that are going to be opting out. And if you even look at just the list of the five that I mentioned, a lot of those players play, besides Boogie Cousins, who's a free agent, a lot of those athletes play a key role in the team, especially with Avery Bradley and the Lakers, because I specifically do have the Lakers going to the finals and winning, but Avery Bradley was really starting to pull his weight and earn his stripes in the organization. So to see him sit out, that's going to be a big minus for them. And all of this kind of just wraps back around to, how when coronavirus hit and the season came to a halt, people were wondering, when things come back, are we going to be able to rightfully call it the finals? Are we going to be able to rightfully crown these players? And now, if you're having certain players sit out, some of these teams would have never expected this. And with some of these even, being not injury related, it's not a head scratcher, but it just really hurts these teams knowing that these players can play and they're going to fall short in that position in their pursuit of an NBA title. You know what I mean? So,
Um, I feel that. I completely agree what you're saying. Only thing I could say is like, with the coronavirus, they're talking about young people. It really can't hurt them, but when it comes to older people, it can affect them really bad. Like it's different for each person though. Like me, I have asthma sometimes. I have breathing problems here and there with like pollen and stuff. So like if I ever had the coronavirus, I'm pretty sure I would feel like crap
oh
and I
yeah,
couldn't play a game.
yeah,
I couldn't play a game. And most players are scared to play because of that. All I can say is NBA needs to make sure, just safety wise, give them reinsurance, making sure like they'll be okay, they'll be fine. Like take everything seriously, like their life actually depends on it.
right,
And if they take it that way, I believe NBA players will actually might give it a try and other that. But if they don't come back, well, it might be like personal issues or something like that, which I have no right to say anything about that. But
right, absolutely. And I'm in the same boat.
yeah, but other than that, man, like it's hard. It really is because you don't know what people are thinking about at the end of the day. So you don't see what they're seeing. And for them to say they're not playing, you really can't judge them.
Right,
But other than that, man, it all comes down to like how bad do you really want it? Like, do you really want NBA to start right now? Like, why can't you wait a year, give everyone a rest of like, hey, let's find a vaccine. Then after that, we'll get shit rocking and rolling.
right, absolutely.
Uh,
I 100% feel that. And hearing that come from an athlete's perspective, too, that's pretty amazing. Hearing you say take it seriously, like your life actually depends on it, because I feel like there's some people out there, like obviously it would be terrible if they weren't, but I know it's a possibility. So I feel like for you to speak in the perspective of from one athlete to another, that was just really heartfelt. And I really like hearing that, too. But going on into this now, so the Milwaukee Bucks head coach Mike Budenholzer actually says that Giannis is fully healthy after the hiatus that was caused by coronavirus to the NBA. And if people are wondering what specifically happened, Giannis suffered a minor joint capsule sprain in his left knee after he landed awkwardly against the Los Angeles Lakers on a dunk attempt back in March, in the beginning of March. And he didn't play again. And now this long layoff has really enabled him to come back and heal greatly without being rushed to come back to the scene of playing basketball. And in my opinion, if a head coach is coming forward and saying that his star is completely healthy, now we get it, it's going to be a confidence thing. You're the face of really your franchise. You got to say that your star is healthy. But us seeing Giannis not play in the beginning of March and now hearing Mike Budenholzer come forward and say this, I feel like he's speaking on a different form of Giannis now. Giannis and the Bucks have been surging to the top of the NBA for years now, and I know they're coming for the championship. But I've been saying that Giannis and the Bucks are the biggest threat to LeBron James and those Los Angeles Lakers. They're even leading the league, the Bucks are, in point differential at 11.2, and they're leading the league in defensive rating also. Before I go any further, Chandler, do you think a team leading the league in point differential and defensive rating could shut down and win a championship over a LeBron James-led Lakers?
Of course, definitely. It honestly it depends what LeBron James comes out and plays.
Because he's over there like um what's the word, man? I know the word. He's over there meditating. Like he's over
Yeah,
there getting ready, dude. He's doing all the work.
yeah. I'm so glad you actually brought that up. That brings me to something actually. Honestly, bro, like I'm feel sorry for all the people that lost their lives to COVID-19. Like it was like a curse and everything, but
Hmm.
it's also a blessing for some people, like me particularly. And especially I know other athletes can quote me on this. Is like, dude, when you're going to spring ball, your body's hurting and everything, and like I feel like when COVID came around, it was like a blessing for some of us because like we got a chance to get our bodies to rest for once. I actually had that real vacation of hanging out with your family and stuff. Like
Right.
I was home for probably maybe 2 months, and I've never been home in so long. That long in my like in a while. Just actually like chilling at home, having conversations with my family, seeing my friends here and there, like actually doing things I want to do at when I want to do it. And with that, having that long break from football and everything, I felt like it was a blessing. Like I feel 110% better coming back in facility, working out with my teammates. Like actually missing football for once, it makes me feel so much better.
Right.
But
And you can relate to these athletes that are having this good time off, and it's not even like or like you were saying, having being able to have that time with your family. But I feel like it also goes deeper than having that physical time off. Emotionally being able to detach from the game and tap back into your life that you had before with your family and your friends, and just mentally too, being able to mentally take a break and relax. I feel like that's something that's really been able to graze over all the athletes in the world right now.
dude, that was like honestly the best thing ever. Just mentally slowing down, not thinking about football, not thinking about school. Like it was relaxing, man. I went to the lake house. I had fun for once, like not worrying about like, oh, if I do this, won't be able to practice the next day, like stuff like that. Like it's it takes a lot. It takes a lot out of a person, playing football all your life and playing basketball all your life. Like that's all you knew. That's all you done practicing every day. Like sacrificing time with friends and everything, like going through stuff like that, and like actually having a break from doing it. It was probably like the best thing ever. Like I think everyone needed it, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm super happy for everybody that got it too, man. We're going to be heading into the Major League Baseball segment, rounding out the What Off Season Sports podcast here, everybody. I'm Adam Lewis, host of the show. I've got Ole Miss offensive guard number 68, Chandler Tuitt, in the studio with me today, ladies and gentlemen, diving into Major League Baseball. I'm super convinced, like I said, that Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred must have heard me blasting them in the last episode of the show, because I feel like literally shortly after I posted that, it seems like they got it together, decided on the number of games, got the salaries worked out, and we are going to have baseball in 2020. Now, Rob Manfred did immediately say that Major League Baseball and the players owe it to the fans to be better. Quote, "We need to get back on the field and we need to, in a less charged environment, start to have conversations about how we, and the we in that sentence is the commissioner's office, my staff, the clubs, and the NLBPA and the players can be better going forward. We owe it to our fans to be better than we've been the last 3 months. And I want to actually get your thoughts first, Chandler. I know you don't necessarily tap into the baseball world immensely, but I'm sure you've heard of all the fiasco with the games and the salaries. For the commissioner himself, the actual commissioner of Major League Baseball himself, Rob Manfred, to come forward and make that statement, admitting that they fell short and they know they should do better. How does that stand out to you as an athlete? Because I know sometimes you'll have coaches that could, possibly rub you the wrong way, and they know that they do, but they're not going to come forward, or even players aren't going to come forward and say that they're apologetic for their actions.
It means he's real. Like, why not tell the truth? What's the point of hiding something? If you know you effed up, just come out and say you effed up. Like, that's fine and all. Like, I actually appreciate that statement that he said. Like, I would love for a coach to come out and be like, "Yo, I effed up. Sorry, guys." Like,
Yeah.
I would respect that coach 100 times more and follow him more. I would follow a coach that would not say anything at all. You know?
Right, that's facts. Yeah, and I definitely feel like you would have answered that way too. That's amazing too. And you see, everybody is happy. I feel like that he's owning what happened, because it was an awful, terrible look for Major League Baseball. And if you kind of look back over the years, Major League Baseball hasn't really had the best representation, specifically with cheating scandals. The Astros being the most recent one. And I guess to be so low on the totem pole, it literally relates to what you said, Chandler. You could be so low on the totem pole with a certain person, but if they come to you just one time and admit that they screwed up, you could possibly have a 180 and respect them, like you said, 100 times more. And I feel like that's what the world could possibly do for Rob Manfred. I know me personally, just being a sports fan and a podcast host in general, that I definitely appreciate him, acting that way and just acknowledging the fact that he showed lack of concern and respect for his players, the money makers of his organization, literally. I mean, it's common sense if you don't have your players, let alone if they're not healthy, they're going to infect one, staff, two, that could spread to, fans, if we even decide to let fans in, not for the 60-game season, but whenever Corona decides to end. You just got to be more concerned and have more respect for your players. And I feel like you can sign me out on that too, Chandler. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I get it. Like, when you go to major leagues and everything, like, it's a business and, like, you can't really be friendly or everything, but at least respect them as a human being, man. Like, they're still human. They're still people. Like, you can't just act like they're just props and toys. Like, you can't treat them like that. So for him to come out, like, I apologize, like, I respect it. Like, definitely. He made a mistake. No one's perfect. Like, I get it. Like, I respect it for real.
Yeah, absolutely. And me too. Me too. And you look into the actual plan that they agreed to get training camp going, or I'm sorry, spring training, rather, whatever you want to call it. Not really the spring anymore. Going on July 1st. 60 games in the season. The prorated salaries are settled and all of that. But if we just look into possibly what we could experience with the Major League Baseball season coming up, just to think about the batting averages that we could see, this season with the cut of over 100 games like this, and the lopsided wins, the stats, all the lopsided numbers in the stat columns that we actually could be experiencing this season. I mean, you've got a possibility of teams like the LA Angels, the Phillies, the Cubs, who could really mess around and accumulate a really nice record. And, those three teams I just, put on the table there, they really have struggled to find success here lately in Major League Baseball. But if you even look deeper, everybody has been talking about how the playoff system is going to work. Major League Baseball makes most of its money when the postseason rolls around. I know that's when I tune into baseball, because I can't stand 162 games. I personally love the 60-game format, but I'm obviously not the dollar bills behind Major League Baseball. But when you look into how the playoff system could possibly unfold, numbers say that teams with a win-loss record of 33 wins, 27 losses could squeeze in to the playoffs. That's just going 3 games above 500. And you can even take that I just gave you and relate that to the fact that the teams with the worst record in the playoffs here recently average about a 55% win rate. And some people might not even realize that teams with better records, that other clubs could miss the playoffs than teams that have worse records than them. I want to ask you, Chandler. Let's say the football season was shortened. The best way I've been able to relate this to people is you take the NFL season of 16 games. If you chop that into a third, you're hypothetically at best going to play 5 or 6 games. What if a team that went 2-3 or 3-3, made it into the playoffs, even for college or just the NFL standings and the football standings when it comes to playoffs in general? How would that settle with you as a player?
Um, in the real world, I would say, yeah, that sucks and all. But when it comes down to it, bro, if you have 5 games and you lose, like that's just life, man. And it's rough to say that, but like if it happens like that, it just happens. Like you can't really complain about it at all, and it sucks at the end of the day. But I don't know, man. It's hard to think about, just playing 5 games.
Right. Everybody waits
It's
all year for those 16 games plus all of your playoff games.
Yeah, but like 5 games for us, that's short. But 16 games for us is like it feels like a whole decade,
Oh yeah,
Like,
man. Especially on your body,
yeah,
I bet. Like you were just saying, dude, the wear and tear on
yeah,
your body playing 16 games is what you play 12 in college in the regular season, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And even, but I get what you're saying with everything, but coming to the MLB, I'm a little confused about it. I'm not a big baseball person at all, but like I get what they're saying. But in baseball, there's not much contact in that sport. Am
Right.
I right?
Right. Yeah.
So
No, not much contact at all. I mean, there can be,
I
but
don't.
90% of the time it's,
Yeah.
there's no contact.
So I feel like they have the better chance to play more games than any sport does out there,
R-
honestly,
right.
because barely in contact. So if anything starts up, baseball should be the first thing to start up because there's barely any contact. And if you see how that goes, we'll slowly move up to another sport like maybe basketball or football. Like see how it works out with the coronavirus and all that. Just slowly get into stuff, but other than that, man, it's different when it comes to like, wow, football players playing 5 games. Like that's rough.
Oh yeah.
I can't even
It
think
would.
about playing 5 games.
Right. It would break your heart as an athlete. It would break my heart as a fan. And I feel selfish because you're the one that's physically being affected by it. I'm just being entertainingly deprived. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So, but heading on into this last part of the show here, guys. The biggest discussion I feel like around also outside of the playoff system is how do you properly judge a baseball team who comes out prosperous in this 60 game slate that is being deployed onto us. It's completely new. It's the shortest baseball season since the 1800s. You look at the beginning. Yes, they rightfully earned it. At the end of the day, they did rightfully earn it. They will have played. They will have. None of the rules are changing. Everybody's starting with the same advantage or disadvantage. However you want to look at it, you have the option to not play. But here's a couple things that you got to look at. You did only play 60 games compared to 162. Some big names could not play. Imagine if a person like Mike Trout didn't play, or Bryce Harper, or Ronald Acuna. Those are three really big stars in Major League Baseball right now, and that would really, really, really affect plenty of teams going into the season. And that really just depends on what is right for the player. And another thing you can even look at is the injury window is smaller. So if you're playing 102 less games, automatically common sense off the top of your head tells you you're not going to be as physical on your body. Yes, you might want to play harder in those 60 games because those 60 games really count more, but you rather wouldn't have to play as long or as much, and you'd be able to avoid, those pesky injuries that can come after playing, X amount of games in a season. And I feel like there's players out there that, and maybe I can even ask you, Chandler, is there like a certain point in the season when like your ankle's going to start messing with you because you've been, playing a lot, or, if your thumb starts messing with you, just hypothetically speaking, does that happen for an athlete?
definitely. Like I wouldn't say as a point of the season, it's a point of like who you play.
Or maybe even a point of the game, man. Y'all are warriors.
Yeah,
Like, all right, man, every time in the second quarter, my thumb starts hurting.
yeah, they're like it's definitely like wear and tear when it comes to football. Like you're about to play like let's say we're about to play Alabama. The next day you're gonna be hurting. Like you already automatically know that. Like it's no doubt about it. Like it's gonna be a hard game. You're going head to toe, hard game, nonstop. But if you're playing like a small school, you think you're gonna whoop them like 0 to 40. Like you're chilling, bro. You really not doing much.
Right, right. I feel that. And another point you can even look at too is, the weather window has shifted. Baseball is really one of the only sports where it's always consistently played outside. I really don't know if there are any stadium baseball fields left. There might be a couple, but actually I want to look that up real fast. Domed baseball
No.
stadiums. Let's see, are there any left?
Well, while you're looking that up, I was gonna tell you, 60 games for baseball. That's pretty good. I would love that.
Right.
60 games is still a lot, so I really can't see why someone would complain about winning or losing. Like if you can't win,
I mean, 60 games is perfect, man. We're going to be at the playoffs
yeah,
before you know it.
yeah, like that's pretty good. Y'all think that's short? That's long to people like me. Like
Right.
60 games is long.
Oh, yeah, that's a few seasons for you, bro. That's 5 regular seasons for you, man. I
So
feel that.
for them to complain about 60 games, I'm like, all right, bro, y'all got it.
Right.
I respect it.
Yeah. So I'm looking right now, and it says that there are 6. Actually, yes, there are 6 Major League Baseball stadiums that have retractable roofs. So, with the weather window being so shifted, baseball's now starting, and we're not spring training's not starting, how it usually is. We're not kicking off in April, and Choptober's coming around October for all of, the baseball clubs for the postseason. So, the weather's not going to be the same. That's really going to affect a lot of things. I feel like people aren't necessarily thinking about that. The balls are going to travel differently. The bats are going to maybe appear heavier or lighter compared to the humidity and the condensation in the air. And it's not even really a point right now of trying to sound so geeky, but with all the shift in the sports, I mean, people don't think about it. It's a completely different times. The weather's going to be different. The injury factor can be smaller. Do you feel like that's something that could definitely affect Major League Baseball or just the sport in general? Chandler is playing in a different, weather frame.
I'm not no expert in this,
right?
But I guess you just gotta learn how to adapt, bro. Like
yeah,
this point blank, like you gotta learn how to adapt
with
to
COVID and everything, man. You gotta be ready for anything coming around the corner, brother.
So if you suck at adapting to situations, it's gonna be hard on you. If you're good at adapting situations, you'll be fine. Like it just depends on the person, honestly. And it goes back to what I said. It depends how bad you want it.
Right, 100%. And it's like that with everything in life too, brother. It just depends on how badly you want it. Dude, I appreciate you so much for coming on the show today, Chandler. It was super, super a pleasure, man. Is there anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to get into, bro?
Dude, I think we hit everything. I love being on the show. I'm actually proud of you, my guy.
Thanks, man.
Seeing you get on a show and doing something with your life, like I'm glad to see people coming out of Sandy Creek and actually be something,
Right, man.
I respect it. I respect it big time, bro.
Thanks, man. I love hearing that. I appreciate all the just all the acknowledgement rather. And you're grinding too, bro. I remember like I said, I remember back in middle school when we went to school together, in high school also, just all the sports you were playing, just trying to get your name out there. And I always remembered you as like the first kid who actually got their scholarship. Like I feel like you were the first person in our class of 2016 that like everybody knew about getting like a football offer. Like I specifically remember hearing you as like going to Ole Miss. Like you were the first like rumor. You know what I'm saying? Like when you kind of hear talks of like, oh, so and so is going to go to Georgia. Like I heard, oh, Chandler's going to be going to Ole Miss to be a Rebel, and I was like, dude, no way. And then I remember like rolling through on the morning announcements, and I was like, my boy. So, but I'm proud of you too, man. I really hope that you reach all the heights that you're shooting for. If you're shooting for the NFL, like you said, if it happens, bro, I know you can grind for it. I really wish you all of the luck. I'm going to have you back on the show too, brother. Like I said, thank you so much for coming on the show today, man. But that is
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Anytime. Hit me back up and I'll bring you back on. But that is going to wrap up today's episode of the What Off Season Sports Podcast, everybody. I appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day to tune in for this packed show featuring Ole Miss offensive guard Chandler Tuitt. Don't forget about the link tree in the bio of our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Actually, back that up. Go follow Chandler on Instagram at ctuitt68, CTUITT68 on the gram. Go support my boy. Go get his followers up. Don't forget about the link tree in the bio of our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's all of our content on every platform. You'll find the show on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere and everything. Go subscribe to us and be sure to write a review. Throw in some topics you'd like to hear on the show. Comment, get some engagements going, guys. Tune in next week, as always, for another loaded episode of the What Off Season Sports Podcast. Signing out, everybody.